Cassie said Diddy made her perform through these freak-offs even though she had UTIs, very painful ones, during her period, and while she had sores in her mouth from the other freak-offs, because she had barely any time to even recuperate her body because he was making her do them every week. And they would last for days. Minimum was like 36 hours. Max, the longest one she said was maybe 4 days. He would not let her sleep either. They were just doing drugs to stay up. It's just insanity. And he made her addicted to drugs, to opiates, which now allegedly she has to take medicine for the rest of her life for that because he's a drug addict himself. So he's trying to get everyone else addicted. Mind you, she was only 19 when they met and got together, and he's 17 years older than her. Okay. She said she didn't even know what really oral sex was. She said the whole relationship, or whatever you want to call it, between them started when it was her 21st birthday because he was her boss, you know, at the label that she signed to, Barbara Records. Which, by the way, did y'all know, because I didn't know this, her first record that she's so famous for, Me and You, that came out in 2006, I remember the song, it was everywhere. That song was not made by P. Diddy, okay? It was produced by Ryan Leslie, who she was dating at the time that she met P. Diddy. And even her other famous song, Long Way to Go, which came out a few years later, was also produced by Ryan Leslie. So, P. Diddy, what did you even do here? He legit signed her to a 10-album deal, and then he made sure none of her albums came out, okay? She said she recorded hundreds of songs over the years, and they never came out. Diddy would just give her busy work, like stuff to do at the studio, record or whatever, that never led anywhere, just to keep her busy while he was traveling or doing whatever he wanted, because he wanted to keep tabs on what she was doing, where she was going, what was going on, because him and guys like that, they get off on control, on controlling everyone around them, especially these girls, wives, baby mamas, whatever you want to call them. He wouldn't even want them dating anybody. Remember Kid Cudi's car blew up? Remember that? And notice how none of his baby mamas, his exes, the one I told you about in my other video, none of them are remarried or were. Kim Porter, rest in peace. So notice, none of them got remarried or were in relationships with anybody after Diddy, because he doesn't want you to be in one, because he loves control. Doesn't matter if it's women, men, whatever. If you've studied DV, just any basic psychology, even the Stockholm syndrome, where somebody's kept prisoner and then they end up loving their captor. It's a very complex subject. There are many, many layers to it. It's not just black and white where it's like yes or no. You want to stay, you want to go. No, it's very complex. And I've only seen guys say this, okay? I've not even met one girl that said this, where they just be like, oh, you know, why don't you just leave? You know, all that time, they were in a relationship for a decade. Why don't you just leave? Look, first of all, you're a man, so you're not scared of somebody beating your ass, okay? She was scared of him because he's crazy. He even beat up dudes, okay? Second of all, she wanted to appease him because she loved him so much, and she just wanted to be, like, good enough. You know, that's what you're trying to do all the time in these sort of relationships. You just keep trying to... She was scared of him because he's crazy. He even beat up dudes, okay? Second of all, she wanted to appease him because she loved him so much, and she just wanted to be, like, good enough. You know, that's what you're trying to do all the time in these sort of relationships. You just keep trying to earn their affection, and it just flip-flops around. He would love bomb her, then he wouldn't. He would buy her stuff, and then he would take away her car, phone, kick her out of a limo in the middle of the city after he would be done beating her in the limo, stomping on her head. It's just crazy. And also, he used coercion to make her stay, meaning he would threaten her with these tapes, saying like, oh, I'm gonna release these tapes of you with these escorts, of the freak-ups that he wanted, okay? Also, financially, she was stuck there. So he would use coercion and threaten her to stay in this relationship, even when she didn't want to. And he was violent. He would make her stay with coercion. He would physically make her stay by sending out security to come get her and bring her back, literally, against her will, or just beat her into submission. He controlled her financially. Remember, he was her boss at the label. He controlled her whole career. She thought she was gonna have a career, right? And he would help her. He did not want her to go anywhere. He wanted her, this is his words, okay? He told somebody, he said, oh, she's young and moldable. She's right where I want her. Who says that? Oh, he's sick. It may have been her first love. I mean, I've been in relationships that were f***ed up, and so I can speak from experience how it is. And it's not just simple like, oh, just go. Like, why didn't you just leave? Guys who say that, and again, it was only guys who said this. First of all, they're not scared physically of being beaten. Second of all, they don't understand that somebody is controlling your entire life. Where you live, your apartment, your career, your money, your reputation, by holding these tapes, like everything, even punching you in the face every day. Like, they just don't understand how it is. And especially if you love somebody too, and you think, you know, they'll get better. Guys that say like that. I'm like, please, just don't even talk to me. Don't even be my friend. Just unfollow me right now. She was so young. So he basically groomed her and showed her this a lifestyle of, you know, swinging and having these freak offs that she did not even want to do. She said it became literally her job. Every week, she would not even have time to make any music or do anything. All her time would just go to this because these freak offs would last a few days. Then it takes her body time to recuperate and rest and get better and get fluids. And if you're staying up for 4 days and taking these and having sex the whole time, like, imagine how much of a toll it takes on you. And it's not the same for guys, okay? Guys out there who are like, it's not that bad. No, it's a different world for women, okay? Ask any girl out there. If you are on your period, if you have painful UTI, that she said even antibiotics were not curing at this point, and you have painful sores in your mouth, would you want to be doing these freak offs for hours and days on end? There's no woman in the world that will say yes to that. She said it became like her job, basically. And she could not get out of this lifestyle. She tried to leave many times, which the statistics are that it takes about 7 times for somebody to leave an abusive relationship. She said it became like her job, basically. And she could not get out of this lifestyle. She tried to leave many times, which the statistics are that I think it's 7 times. Yeah, it takes about 7 times for somebody to leave an abusive relationship. It's not just a simple black and white, like yes or no. Okay, so she was 19 when they met and he was almost 50. Just think about that. This is just her testimony from week 1. We got at least 8 weeks of this trial. There's gonna be a lot of witnesses. The first week, she gave testimony on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, we had the escort and the security guard from the hotel where the footage was from 2016, which I'll talk about in a second. Which also, the defense, like Diddy's team, was trying to drag this out to make it where she stays longer and goes into labor. His defense team would just ask her these pointless or very redundant questions just to drag something out, just because they wanted to prolong this trial where she goes in labor, because she's very, very pregnant with her 3rd child, with Alex Fine, her husband. And if she goes in labor, she cannot come back and finish her testimony, because remember, it's not like you just get up there and just say your story and leave. You give the testimony, then you get questions from the prosecutors, the direct, and then you get the cross-examination from Diddy's team, and they ask you more questions. Then there could be more of that, like direct, whatever. So you can't just leave. And if she ends up giving birth during it, she cannot come back. It's gonna be a mistrial. And he just gets off. So the judge was like, no. In the beginning of the week, the judge, Arun, I think Judge Arun is like the first Indian judge that they've had. So he told them in the beginning of the week, like, look, she gotta be off the stand by Friday afternoon. So you have this whole week to ask her whatever you want. She's got to be done by the weekend. Because I follow people who are like literally there. There's a few people I follow and I listen to all of their videos, which there are no cameras allowed in the courtroom because it's a federal case. So I'll make sure to tell you everything that happens. So the judge told them this, and then somehow they just kept extending it, and they just kept asking the same redundant questions, just dragging out this like long conversation. It was just going nowhere. That's what literally everyone said that watched it, which by the way, his family was there. Little Diddle, his girls, everyone, the first week. Janice Combs with her Party City wig. All of them, which a lot of people were like, why would you have your girls there listening to all of this stuff that you've been doing allegedly with these escorts and all of this abuse with your ex, which, mind you, his 3 girls, not the baby, but the 3 older ones, they're all the same age. They're all 18 because one is from one baby mama and then the twins are from a different one because he was cheating. They were born like 6 months apart. They're all 18. And Cassie was 19 when Diddy met her. Remember that? So basically, they're like the same age. And even though they are adults technically to come in and listen to this, it's still not a good look. And a lot of people were criticizing this the first week. And I feel like his team definitely watch his online criticisms and just like people's take, because Diddy cares about his reputation so much. He even started a whole PR smear campaign. You know, he's got a lot of money. So allegedly, he paid $70 million, allegedly, to do this whole like smear campaign against Cassie, because Diddy cares about his reputation so much. He even started a whole PR smear campaign. You know, he's got a lot of money. So allegedly, he paid $70 million, allegedly, to do this whole like smear campaign against Cassie. Because first, TMZ and some other shows, they were very like pro Diddy, and they were just not telling you the whole story, okay? And one of either his lawyer, one of like the lawyer's dads or something, is actually on TMZ, like he has a podcast, okay? He's the one that said the whole thing, remember, where, oh, the prosecution is like these 6 white women, to which Judge Arun was like, I will not tolerate that kind of talk. Doesn't matter like what race or gender, like you're a professional attorney, that will not be tolerated here in this courtroom. He said, just know, I will be watching this podcast I like this judge. So TMZ was just very pro Diddy. Even later when I said that they were trying to drag out these questions, Diddy's team, the judge was like, how much longer do you need? Because we still need time for the prosecutors to do like redirects, whatever it's called. And Mark Neville, this girl I watched, she's so funny. She's like, Yana. When she explains how he talks, it's so funny. I don't know the guy. I'm just telling you what I've been watching. And he is like, Mark Neville, he's Diddy's lawyer, was like, Yana, we need till Monday, maybe Tuesday. And the judge was like, excuse me? Did I not tell you that you need to be done on Friday? We still need time for the other side. This judge did not come to play, and I like that. So this was on Thursday. He said, okay, you already wasted all this other time that you had. So now you have the rest of Thursday and Friday morning to finish up your questions. And then Friday afternoon, we have to do the other side, and that's it. She's gonna go by the weekend, okay? She's gotta go, period. Good for him. Good judge. After that, Diddy's team was like, okay, well, because they had no other questions to ask. Like, I remember I already told you they kept re-asking these like same redundant questions just to kind of drag it all out. So then like the last 1 or 2 days of the first week, Diddy's team was asking Cassie some questions, and either Diddy didn't like what was going on or whatever, but he got so pissed. He was so pissed, and everybody saw it in the courtroom, and I'm like, that's not a good look. And I'm sure they watched these videos, so they were like, you need to straighten up, because after that he didn't do that again. But he was so pissed. Everybody was like, even his team during a break was like not trying to stand next to him. Everybody was scared, but he was pissed. And when it came time to do like the very last questions they had time for, Diddy's team was like asking something, and Diddy did not like what they were doing. So he literally took over the whole operation. He was like, I'm my own lawyer. He started scribbling it frantically, like he was so pissed, and passing them the notes. And one of the girls that I watched, she was in the courtroom, not like in the back, like overflow room or whatever, like in the courtroom. There's 2 girls that I watch that go there every single day. And Diddy started making his lawyers ask Cassie these questions that had nothing to do with anything as far as like defending himself. They were just to do with like reputation. He just wanted sound bites for the journalists. Again, going back to the smear campaign against Cassie. Like, Diddy, you are on trial. Go to prison for life. Like, what are you doing? All he was trying to do was ask these questions that have nothing. Like, Diddy, you are on trial. Go to prison for life. Like, what are you doing? All he was trying to do was ask these questions that have nothing to do with anything, just kind of like trying to make her look bad, basically like a hoe or a gold digger or something. Even though he was with all these other women while he was with Cassie, she wasn't with anybody. And even at the end, when she was trying to leave him, when she started dating like Kid Cudi and all that, she was like actively trying to leave him. And the whole time they were like together, Diddy was dating all these other women, or should I say sleeping with other women, not dating. I don't know if he has that much dignity. Anyway, but he was trying to paint her as some sort of hoe. And I'm like, first of all, I don't believe she was cheating on him. And even if she was, that doesn't give you the right to be somebody or holding them hostage, not letting them leave, or taking away their car, coercing them into doing sex acts, using blackmail, making them do drugs. Like, no. Where's the logic in this? It's like somebody would be like, oh, you know what? I was so jealous. My wife was cheating on me and it got me mad, so I killed her. Okay, you were mad she was cheating on you, so that means that you can kill somebody? Anyway, his team was just asking these dumb questions that had nothing to do with anything. And one of the girls in the courtroom, she was so funny, that was explaining what she saw. She was like, yeah, at one point, because he was like frantically scribbling and passing the notes, and then they would like ask the question, and then he would like scribble more, and these questions were like kind of all over the place too. She said at one point, the attorney who was asking the questions, she was like in the middle of a question, and then she opens up the note, she's like she did not want to ask this question. And then I told you they were just scared of him when it was break time. His lawyers did not even want to stand next to him. It's a scary man. Even the jurors, everybody in the courtroom was like, what the fuck? He was like scary. Like, he showed his true colors. And I'm sure they watched all of this because they started this whole campaign. Like, I'm gonna remind you that Diddy's lawyer quit right before trial. Remember the guy that quit, the black attorney? He said, under no circumstances can I continue working with this man. And this is Osama bin Laden's lawyer. Let that sink in. Osama bin Laden's lawyer quit on Diddy. That's all I want to say. I mean, he was probably seeing how crazy he was and that he really did do all these crimes. And he was like, I'm not even, like, it was probably just so wrong morally. I don't even know how his lawyers are defending him. Honestly, they almost know he did all this shit. Like, for real. They just like, I still want that paycheck though. He had these lawyers asking Cassie the dumbest, like, most irrelevant questions that have nothing to do with his defense. Again, when you're cross-examining a witness, you're supposed to like poke holes in their story and be like, okay, did you really do this? Oh, what day were you there? Like, da-da-da. Nothing to do with like, oh, well, do you remember this time you did this? Like, he was just trying to paint a picture of him like being better. Like, I don't know. His reputation is all that matters to him, which after the whole TMZ and other blogs, you know, kind of being on his side that I told you about, later in the week, people that went to the trial started reporting that they saw people outside the courtroom standing around in free puff shirts, like black shirts with white writing, for $20 an hour. And they said that it was just very weird how they would just all, people that went to the trial started reporting that they saw people outside the courtroom standing around in free puff shirts, like black shirts with white writing. And they said that it was just very weird how they would just all band together, even though clearly they did not come together. They were just very like separate, like they didn't know each other. And they would just band together and then just walk up right to where the paparazzi is and be like, "Ooh, pretty puff." And then somehow later in the week, somebody got a statement from some like random girl outside, and she was like, "Oh yeah, they asked me to wear Diddy's shirt for $20 an hour." And I said no. And she was like, "First of all, it was for not even cash, it was for a Diddy coin." She was like, "I don't even know what that is." She's like, "I don't want that shit." Like, I don't blame her. I wouldn't do that either. But for $20 an hour. Anyway, he's trying to buy his reputation at this point and try to save face. I'm like, dude, you're going to prison for life. Like, what are you doing? There were other people outside that we saw that were not testifying. They were just outside. They came, like Jagger Wright, who's been saying stuff about Diddy for years. Okay. She's one of, like, his backup singers or something back in the day. And then Little Rod, who's got a whole lawsuit against Diddy, which I hope to God he wins, too, because he was his victim. He was, like, one of his, you know, he was working for Diddy, and he owed him a lot of money that he didn't pay him. And then he was trying to, like, you know, like essay him too on top of that. For a whole year he had to live with him. He said it was a mess. And he said he's been hiding since he dropped this lawsuit because he just fears for his life. And rightly so. It's a mess. The whole Diddy thing is a mess. I am sure we're gonna have so many more witnesses come in. I hope they subpoena a bunch of celebrities, which I don't think they can subpoena people who've already been talking about this, like in public interviews. I don't know. But there are talks of Jonathan Audi, whatever, the guy that they were sleeping with, who was arrested back in the day, where there's like a whole tape of him talking about all this crazy stuff. And at the time people thought it was crazy, but then here we are. It all came true. He said he was having freak offs. He was like Diddy's sex slave. He said Diddy, Khaled, Rick Ross were all gay. He said Diddy was transporting drugs in his jet because it doesn't get screened by security. He said he signed an NDA with him. All this stuff, and there's more stuff about like presidents and shit. And it all sounded crazy at the time. And now, lo and behold, okay, we know that he was Diddy's for sure. There is an NDA for $5 million. At least there's a screenshot floating around. We don't know if it's for real or not. And we do know that Diddy likes doing these freak offs and doing drugs. And all of this stuff came true. Everything he said. There's talks of Michael B. Jordan maybe showing up to testify, Kid Cudi. But the two witnesses we did see the first week was one of the escorts that used Daniel Phillips, and then the security guy from the hotel where you saw the footage from 2016 where Diddy beat Cassie. The security guard that showed up, we didn't see him in the very short version, but then they released like a longer 15-minute version where you can see him kind of walking up to the room, talking to Diddy, and apparently he's like a huge guy. Like the girls that were explaining all this that were in the courtroom, they said like he's a huge guy and he's like a fridge basically. And in Russian it's funny, there's like a saying kind of like that where it's like you're and then the security guy from the hotel where you saw the footage from 2016 where Diddy beat Cassie. The security guard that showed up, we didn't see him in the very short version, but then they released like a longer 15-minute version where you can see him kind of walking up to the room, talking to Diddy, and apparently he's like a huge guy. Like the girls that were explaining all this that were in the courtroom, they said like he's a huge guy and he's like a fridge basically. And in Russian it's funny, there's like a saying kind of like that where it's like you're American closets, we don't have this. Anyway, in Europe they have these like things for your clothes. They're not like a inside closet like in America. Anyway, so this security guy, Israel Flores, he gave a testimony. He said Diddy tried to bribe him at the end with like a wad of cash. He doesn't know how much it was because he didn't take it, but it could have been like a 50,000, 100,000, who knows. He said it was like 100 at the top, but obviously he didn't like go through them, you know, because he didn't take it. And it was just kind of to cover up like the footage and all that, which we now know that Diddy paid somebody to cover up that footage for years, because this happened in 2016. It only came out in like 2024. She filed her lawsuit in November 2023 and the video came out in March 2024, and I still want to know who released it. Like, what do y'all think? Now the security guy is actually an LA cop, so it gives him more credibility, which good for him for not taking that bribe. And then the other witness was Daniel Phillip, which was one of Diddy's escorts that him and Cassie found, I guess, for this freak off. And he's also bald, and there's like this whole thing like Diddy's always picking some bald guys. I'm like, Anyway, he explained a bunch of stories, and even he said he was worried about Cassie because she was always just like drugged out. He was scared something might happen to her. You know, she explained that like at one point, you know, Diddy instructed them, because he would be instructing, you know, whatever escort it was and Cassie to do whatever he wanted. It was like she would end up, you know, it was like a job. Like they were not into it, they were not trying to be doing this, but he would instruct them on what to do, and it had to be a specific order. Like talk about each other's private parts first, then rub the baby oil all over each other, which it wasn't like a little bit, it was like slathered. They were saying they went through like 10 bottles of baby oil, like big ones, each freak off. That's why he had like thousands of them when they did the raid. It's a whole joke now. Somebody said if you say baby oil 3 times, Diddy will appear. So the escort would say like after that they would do oral, and it would just, so Diddy would like instruct them what to do while he's in a corner being a weirdo and like watching. And Cassie also was saying how Diddy wanted the escort to like urinate in her mouth, and then Diddy was doing the same thing, so both of them were urinating on her. And the lawyer was like asking her these questions. They're like, did you want them to urinate on you? And she was like, no, I don't want anybody to urinate on me. She was like, I was choking on it, like, but she was on the floor, like she couldn't even like make it stop or do anything. Something's wrong with this man. I mean, you know, people have their kinks and stuff, and I'm not shaming anybody. If you're into that, you're into it. But she did not want to be doing this. And even the guy was like, yeah, this is weird. But they would like use no condoms. I told you she would have like UTIs, sores in her mouth from the oral. But she did not want to be doing this. And even the guy was like, yeah, this is weird. But they would like use no condoms. I told you she would have like UTIs, sores in her mouth from the oral. Like the UTIs are so painful. She would be on her period and she would still have to do these freak offs. The guy Daniel Phillips said that the first time he didn't even know who they were. He just showed up thinking he was gonna do like a striptease or something. He said he was working at some agency and somebody called in and asked them if they had a black guy, and he was, I guess, like the manager or something, but they didn't have a black guy, so he was the only black guy. So he just went himself because they were asking him like, why did you go and not somebody else? But he was like, yeah, I went. But then he realized, at first he said he didn't know who they were. Cassie opened the door. She was like wearing red lingerie and like a masquerade mask or something, high heels, and Diddy was like in a corner, just like his face was covered up so you could not tell who he was, but he was just wearing like a towel, just like a weirdo watching in the corner. And she told him like, oh, you know, we're married, my husband, you know, wants me to have some fun, it's my birthday and he likes voyeurism. Like they had this whole story, you know. So these strippers would normally do like parties, like a bachelorette party, you know, show up, strip them, have fun, all these girls throw money like going girls, whatever. But he did not expect this situation where it's just 2 people and it's very intimate and he has to like perform and actually do like sex. Like he said he didn't expect that. And he said the first time he recognized like Diddy's voice, even though he couldn't see his face. Anyway, so this escort just showed up to this hotel. He didn't know what to expect, which they would also use these like pseudonyms to check into the hotel, you know. So like Cassie had hers, it was like Veronica something, and Diddy was always using Frank White or Frank Black, and they were like, why? But apparently Biggie, who he supposedly killed, he was using the name Black Frank White from some sort of like story or cartoon or book or something, but he went by that name as like a joke or dishonest, I don't know. But apparently Diddy got it from Biggie. So weird. Like he keeps these like, you notice this trend where he keeps like little souvenirs throughout of like his abuse, if that makes sense. He would keep these tapes of these freak-offs or even celebrity parties. We'll see. There's gonna be more to come, trust me. This is like at least an 8-week trial. We're like on week 1. And then he keeps like this name from Biggie. It's so weird. He's just a weirdo. Which also somebody pointed out that twins were on Diddy's like yacht parties all the time. So I'm like, what do they see? What are these kids seeing? Like his kids, which there are lawsuits against his sons too, like one son at least, from a waitress from a yacht, like a stewardess that was saying that he was trying to like essay her. So they must be learning all this behavior from their dad. But I'm like, what do the girls think of all this? Is this like a normal thing for them? Because people that seen them in the court, they said they didn't even flinch when they were hearing all these abuse stories. It's like, what did Diddy do to them, if anything? And if he didn't do anything bad to them, he probably just like set such an example that they think that this is normal to treat people like this. I don't even know. But people were saying like these twins have been on these yachts with Diddy through all these parties. It's like, while they were like under 18. It's a mess. But people were saying like these twins have been on these yachts with Diddy through all these parties. It's like, while they were like under 18. It's a mess. Which there's also a story from not just Cassie but the escorts too. They say this guy was like, yeah, sometimes, you know, we would do the thing. He said one time like Diddy would tell him where to finish, and one time he just couldn't, you know, like Diddy just staring him over there, just being a weirdo in the corner. He couldn't, so he just lied that he finished, and Cassie, and then they would always, the two of them, Cassie and Diddy, would like leave and go into the bedroom, because this is like like the presidential suite, okay? This is like those nice hotel rooms where you have the bedroom and the living room and like the whole shebang. It's like a whole apartment, okay? Sorry, this is such a long video, but there's a lot, and I'm not even telling you everything I've seen or heard. I don't know. Let me know what kind of witnesses you think are gonna be coming next week, because this is gonna get interesting. Or just in this whole trial period. So then Cassie said during her testimony that Diddy liked that her and this escort would do the thing, you know, whatever they're doing that Diddy's instructing them to do, that she did not even want to be doing. And then her and Diddy would go into the bedroom, like close the door, where like the escort doesn't know what they're doing. Sometimes he said he would just be sitting there for hours, like waiting. And she said that Diddy liked for Cassie to then take the, you know, let's see these words up online, but like the escort's juices off of her. Diddy would want Cassie to take the juices of this random escort from off of her or from inside of her and rub it on Diddy, especially his chest and especially his nipples. What? I'm like, what was going on in his house? Like, Miss Combs, what was happening that he is this weird? It's not even a gay thing. It's not even like that, but this is just some other, I don't even know. I think a lot of those rumors must be true, where they say that Janice Combs may have been like an escort when Diddy was little, and he would just watch these interactions in his home with Janice and clients, you know, and have this baby oil and these candles, which by the way, there was also a lot of candles. They had to get candles for every freak off. They would be like super potent too, which then the hotel had to charge Diddy so much because they would trash these hotel rooms, okay, with the baby oil, with the urine, the blood, everything happening. The Cassie said she would just try to clean up a little bit before they left, you know, like maybe the, I don't know, but still, like, they would charge Diddy like tens of thousands of dollars to fix these hotel rooms, probably replace the furniture, the carpet. I don't even know. I can't even imagine what the maids saw. They must have been traumatized for all blood, because she was on her period too, you know, the urine. Ugh, it's a mess. Even the baby oil, you know, not only did he get so much of it, but also Cassie said that a few times there was like a baby pool, you know, like one of those like inflatable small little circular pools that are for kids. Like, literally, Diddy makes anything perverse. For real. Diddy made Cassie get into this pool, and it was filled with baby oil and get all covered. She said that when they were like doing these freak offs and Diddy was watching her with an escort, he wanted them to be glistening, quote unquote, glistening with baby oil. If it was not enough, they would have to reapply more every 5 minutes. Doesn't matter. Put more on. She said she got into the pool with her heels and everything completely on baby oil, which was dangerous. Not only can you slip, but also if you inhale it, if it gets in your lungs, you can get pneumonia from that. Do y'all know that? Got into the pool with her heels and everything completely on baby oil, which was dangerous. Not only can you slip, but also if you inhale it, if it gets in your lungs, you can get pneumonia from that. Do y'all know that? Also, you can get pneumonia from arsenic. Remember pneumonia and Kim Porter and his former bodyguards? They all had it. Jamie Foxx, who was in a coma. Anyway, it's a mess. This video is so long. I'm telling you, it doesn't end. Watch the previous part of my page, because it's a long story. Diddy was just weird and sick because he liked to degrade Cassie. Not only did she not want to do this in the first place, but he liked to do these like degrading things to her. He's just sick. Also, there was a weird, okay, so she said that he one time asked her when they were first dating, because the freak offs, she said, were introduced either like 6 months or a year after they were dating. Same thing with the violence, kind of coinciding there. But she said that he asked her, Diddy was like, what do you call your grandfather? And she was like, Pop Pop. And he was like, okay, you're gonna call me that. And she was like, the little girl. I'm like, what? He wanted her to call him Pop Pop, like what she called her grandpa. Are you okay? Like, what's wrong with him? There's definitely something wrong with that man. Also, he gets off so much on control that he tried to kick out Cassie's husband after he was already in the courtroom. There was no need for him to be kicked out. Like, he was not a witness, he was not testifying, so he was already there before, and his team did not care that he was there. Then suddenly, he must have said something to them like, listen, I don't want him here just to fuck Cassie. Like, he will not leave her alone. I've known guys like this. But he tried to use this excuse that Alex threatened Diddy, I guess a few years ago, like 2018, when he found out all this stuff, when Cassie told him everything that was happening, because he was her personal trainer that Diddy hired. That's how they met. And then she eventually, you know, was trying to leave Diddy for the obscene time, and she was talking to Alex. They weren't dating, because a lot of people are like, oh, she was cheating on Alex. I'm like, he was getting out of a serious relationship too, apparently. So there's a stage that's called talking, guys, by the way, just so you know. And once he did find out about everything that Diddy did to Cassie, and also she said that the last dinner they had with Diddy, she tried to like get kind of closure, which that does happen in relationships too, because it's like, you want to know, like, why would you do that to me, you know? And she said after that he drove her home, and then he her on her living room floor. But then she ended up meeting with Diddy again after that and having relations with him again. It's like a whole cycle. But Alex was so mad when she finally told him everything that he was just like, she's like, he punched the wall, and he texted Diddy all this stuff like, you I'm gonna do this and this and this to you, which understandable. Like, I would be mad too, you know, because that was his, I guess, first time finding out. I don't know, but like when you find out stuff like that, like even posted something on Instagram before talking about like, you know, no women should be abused by guys, like they're not real men. It's a whole thing. But did he try to kick him out? So he tried to use those text messages saying like, oh, I feel threatened because Alex said this to me 7 years ago. Like, no, he was not feeling threatened. Okay, he does not feel threatened by anybody. Diddy doesn't have any emotions except self-love and delusions. And I'm going to be covering this trial the entire time, so make sure to follow. So he was just trying to like with Cassie while she was there, and a lot of people said that Diddy was like, he gets off so much on control that he tried to kick out Cassie's husband after he was already in the courtroom. Diddy try to kick him out? So he tried to use those text messages saying like, oh, I feel threatened because Alex said this to me 7 years ago. So he was just trying to like fuck with Cassie while she was there. But even during the testimony, she was like crying. She was sitting there in this uncomfortable chair. She's super pregnant. All day for hours she had to sit there, and even, you know, she would cry during the testimony, and even during the breaks, like she would just turn away and like look at the wall and cry. It was so heartbreaking when I was listening to this. You know, it's just like she did not have to do all this. Like, she didn't have to tell the world, which by the way, a lot of people were like, well, you know, she got her money when she settled with Diddy for 20 million, which that's the price she said, by the way, that she settled for with him for 20 million. And she's also getting 10 million, or she already got, from the hotel where that whole incident happened that we saw in the video, which that hotel is like closed now. I don't know. And I'm like, girl, you need more than that, because that's like trauma for the rest of your life. Okay, I'm, you know, glad that she can still conceive and carry children after all that her body's been through, that he put her through. It's psychological trauma for the rest of your life. She even said that she at one point in like 2023, I think she said, she tried to kill herself because she did a video shoot and she got so triggered, like something happened that triggered all these memories, and she came home and she was like, Alex, you'll be okay, right? Like, by yourself, you can take care of our 2 children, because they had 2 kids already at that time. She was like, you'll be okay, right? Because I'm gonna like, I can't take this shame and guilt and all of this anymore. It's like a lot. I mean, over a decade he was her, Diddy, like it's just unimaginable, you know. And Diddy would not leave her alone. So Diddy didn't even want her husband to be there as her support system. Like, he's still trying to with Cassie. Doesn't matter. It's not like he even cared. He never cared for any of these women. He doesn't have any feelings. He's a psychopath. Okay, he doesn't have any empathy for anyone or respect. He beat all these women. He all these men. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care. Okay, but he likes to have that control. And like I said, I met guys like this, and it's they're just unhinged. So he didn't want her to have her husband there as support. So he was like telling his lawyers like, no, you better get him out of here just to fuck her. Like, what's wrong with you? And the prosecutors were like, well, what's the difference if he's here or not? He's Cassie's support system, and what is the reason? You know, like, he was here before and it was not a problem before. Diddy seem never notified us before that this is a problem. All of a sudden, like I said, Diddy is the one that said this to them. It wasn't the team saying this. They don't care if he's there. It's a mess. So he's still trying to her. Like, he loves having control over everybody, the people he works with, the relationships he has. I mean, if you notice, none of his exes, baby mamas, got remarried or were in any sort of like actual relationships. Like, I can think of 0. And when they tried, he would come after them and the guys. He liked having control over everything, you know, guys, women, men, anyone he worked with, like raping them, treating them. I'm like, what is wrong with this man? He needs to be put away for life. I wonder where he was in his past life, because this is scary. So notice, none of them got remarried or were in relationships with anybody after Diddy, because he doesn't want you to be in one, because he loves control. Doesn't matter if it's women, men, whatever. Even that psychologist said, the one I told you about in my other video, he's a psychopath. Anyway, it's so heartbreaking. I hope he goes away for the rest of his life, and whoever was supporting him, because he's just like the devil, literally. There are hundreds and hundreds of victims and witnesses, all kinds of ages, genders, whatever, that he traumatized. Like, what would you think if you were on the jury? Like, what would you say about Cassie or these witnesses or just the whole thing? Like, what would you think? Like, whose side are you on? Like, what is your whole opinion? I just want to know. I want to see some. Anyway, this video has been so long. It's a lot, okay? A lot's been happening. We're only on week 1, okay? And I have not even told you everything, but I tried. This was my summary, but I will be covering this trial as it goes on. So definitely follow, definitely subscribe. The next video will be week 2.